Hello artists! Today we're going to be making a really cute Valentine, and we're going to need a bunch of different things. A piece of background paper, and turquoise is the color I'm using. If you want to use something else, that's fine. You're going to need a piece of paper that fits your hand, and this is going to be like a skin tone color, something that sort of matches your hand. If you have white paper, you can use a colored pencil or a crayon and color it to match your skin tone. You will also need 2 pieces of colored paper, and these are going to be Valentine colors. So think about pinks and reds, maybe purple, something like that. And we will also need a pencil, glue stick, scissors, and I'm going to use oil pastels today, and a Sharpie. If you want to use something else to add your color, that is fine. So the first thing we're going to do, of course, is make sure your name is on your paper, and then I'm going to trace my hand, and I'm going to put it right on the top of my paper and make sure it fits on there so we don't have our fingers off the edges, and spread your fingers apart a little bit. Then trace with your other hand. And if you need help from somebody else to do this, that is okay. Trace all around like so. There's my hand. And now we're going to do careful cutting all around the outside of our hand. And what I like to do sometimes is what I call a bubble cut. So I'm going to cut almost like I blew a bubble around my hand and all those fingers, like so. And get rid of those scraps. Then I'm going to go back in and carefully cut between my fingers and my thumb, and then also around my fingers too, so I have all my cuts. And try to cut really careful. We always want to use our best scissor skills. Take our time. If you accidentally cut a finger off or something else, we can always glue it back on, so no worries. Or try again. Sometimes we make mistakes, and that is okay. All right, so here's my hand that's getting ready, and if you notice there's pencil marks, you can erase them. Or what I like to do sometimes is just flip it over so that your pencil marks are going to be glued down. And you can leave this part on if you want, or you can round it off. I'm just going to kind of, I think I'll round mine off so it looks a little more finished. There we go. That's a little better. Now, before I start gluing things down, I'm going to make a border around the outside. It's kind of like a frame. And I'm going to pick out an oil pastel, and you can pick out whatever color you want. And think about different kinds of lines. There's dashed lines, there's zigzags, there's loop-de-loops. You can decide how you want to make your border. I am going to do a zigzag line, and I'm using my oil pastels. There's a zigzag across the top. And now I'm going to go on my side, zigzag, 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 all the way to the bottom and along the bottom. And I'm carefully holding my paper down so that it doesn't move around on me. Okay, now I have a border. It's like a frame going all around my paper. The next thing I'm going to do is lay my hand down, and my hand can cover up my border a little bit. That's okay. And you can decide if you want your hand facing this way or that way. It is up to you. And I'm just going to set that aside for a minute. The next thing I'm going to do is cut my squares of paper that were Valentine colors. So I'm going to fold my paper this way, and then I'm going to draw half of a heart on my paper. So I'm going to go like this along my fold, and it's kind of like the number 2, the top of the number 2, and then the bottom here. And now I have to make sure that the fold part is in the middle, because if I draw it this way, I'm going to have 2 halves of a heart, right? So after I make sure, then I can cut my heart. There we go. Get rid of my scrap. Open it up, check it out. Oh, look at that. It looks awesome. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to fold this one in half. Press it down. And I want this one to be a little bit smaller than that one. So I'm just going to make that number 2 shape and make it just a little smaller. If it's too big, we can just cut a little bit off. No big deal. All right, double check your fold. Okay, it looks good. I didn't put it on the other side. Now I'm going to cut through both layers and go around the outside and cut my heart. Get rid of my scrap. I'm going to take a look. How did I do? Not too bad. My heart is a little smaller, but I'm still going to trim a little bit off to make it a bit smaller yet. And it kind of is up to you on how big you want that heart to be. But I want it just a little smaller. Okay. Ooh, and this is kind of neat. You could do something else with that. Okay, let's take a look. Ooh, I think that's better. Definitely. Okay. Now, before I do any gluing or anything, I have to figure out where things are going to go and how they're going to look. I can make it look like I'm holding those hearts in my hand. That looks kind of nice. And I can play around with the way it looks. Maybe I'm going to have my hand that way, and then I'll put the heart under my thumb and have it look like that. Can it go off the page if you want it to? It sure can. All right, so I'm going to have my hand like this. I'm going to glue my hearts together and my hand too. So I'm going to put glue on the back of my little heart first. My glue stick. And as always, we want to carefully take our cap off and only twist up as much as we need. Position it on your heart like so. There we go. And I'm gently rubbing it down. Now that's put together. I'm going to carefully glue my hand down, but not my thumb. So I'm going to put glue on the back, carefully on the fingers. They look kind of like bones, don't they? And the thumb is going to stay clean of glue. Glue it down. How's that going to look? I think pretty good. I'm going to move it more towards the middle. Right like so. Okay, if it doesn't stick down well enough, go ahead and add more glue. Now this heart's going to go like that in my hand. Before I do that though, I want to add some designs. So I'm going to use my oil pastels again, and I'm going to practice some more lines. I'm going to go around the outside. Ooh, I love this turquoise. And make some lines on the outside. And you may want to kind of take away the background so you don't get oil pastel on it. You could even use what I call messy paper and just put a piece of paper underneath to catch all of those times when your marks go off the page, kind of like mine just did. Now we're going to make some more designs on the inside. I'm going to make, I think I'll use this color. I'll use a white. And if your white is kind of dirty, you can clean it off on a piece of paper, or you can take a paper towel or a tissue and make sure it's clean and white again. I'm going to draw my heart, half a heart, the other half of the heart. If I want to, I could color it in. Looks pretty good. And then I'm going to use some other colors, maybe a red, and I'm going to go bunny hop, bunny hop, bunny hop, all the way around my heart, like that. My next color, I think I'll use yellow, and I'm going to make some dots going around my heart. The yellow is kind of hard to see, isn't it? But there it is. Start up here, work our way around, making dots. These are all different kinds of lines, aren't they? And then I think I'll use a different shade of blue and see what happens here. And I'm gonna do, I think, a loop-de-loop. Loop-de-loop-de-loop. Loop-de-loop-de-loop. And it has to get smaller than bigger, doesn't it? Because of the space that I have. Loop-de-loop-de-loop. There we go. And that looks pretty cool. The next thing I'm going to do is figure out where it should go. There it is, just like that. Now I'm going to carefully put some glue on the back of my paper, and I may transfer a bit of the oil pastel onto my table because that happens sometimes. And glue, did I transfer any? A little bit. Now tuck it in, figure out where you want it to go. I'm going to leave a little room because I'm going to write something on the top, and gently press it down because the oil pastels can smear if you're rubbing. So gently push them down like that. And then on the top, I'm going to write Happy Valentine's Day. I don't need my glue anymore, so capping my glue. And I am going to use a Sharpie, but you can use a pencil, colored pencil, whatever you'd like, markers, that works too. So I'm going to write happy, H-A-P-P-Y, Valentine's, V-A-L-E-N-T-I-N-E-S, Valentine's, and I think there's an apostrophe in there, day, D-A-Y, exclamation point. There's my sign. Now if I want to, I could even go back and add some lines coming around my words just to give them a little more pizzazz and fun. Because we are artists, we can do that. And there is our Happy Valentine's Day Valentine for someone special. I hope you had fun making your Valentine.